Corsair is normally known for their RGB lights, but of course they are a tech company that does gaming peripherals, like keyboards and mice such as the Corsair M75 Wireless. However, nobody seems to be mentioning their gaming mice. Is it because they're horrible, or is it actually a hidden gem? I bought one and used it for a month to find out. Starting with the box, the M75 comes with a pretty bare bones presentation, but it seems to be eco-friendly. As for the side buttons, we'll get back to those later. Underneath is the cable, which is actually usable with a premium feel. Taking a closer look at the USB receiver, it's lovely to see the laptop-friendly design with a knurled grip. That should be the standard moving forward. Travel-friendly and easy to remove, just like the cable. However, putting the receiver into the bottom of the mouse feels a little too loose, but it doesn't seem like it's going to fall out, and I did try. Now, for the mouse itself, and the feature that excited me the most, the side buttons on the left and right sides of the mouse. Finally, a sub 90 gram symmetrical mouse that I can use in both gaming and productivity. Or so I thought, but that's less of the M75's fault, more of Corsair's IQ software. This is not because IQ keeps crashing or that it takes up too many resources from my computer, and it's so frustrating that the issue I find is a lack of features that stops me from maining this as a catch-all mouse for both gaming and work. Yes, you can create macros for work. Yes, you can customize the RGB to drain your battery even faster to make sure your matches are tense. Going through the UI of the Corsair IQ software is actually a godsend in comparison to every other gaming company that seems to obscure features under menu after hidden menu in the far corners of each window that pops up. With IQ, all of your devices are easily accessible and most of the features you'd use are on the left-hand side after selecting the device, where instead of advertisements and some sort of external feature, you have lighting, macros, DPI sensitivity, all visible and not hidden under a performance tab. But what other setting would you need? Going into the gear icon, you get all the options available to you, from left-handed mode all the way to receiver pairing. They even explain why they're in a different section. Settings are applied automatically and not linked to profiles, which begs the question, what is the feature I needed to have to make this one of my main work and gaming mice? It's called automatic profile switching. This is where the profile switches depending on which application my mouse is currently on. This means every time I move between a work application and a game, I don't have to manually swap from a gaming profile into the work profile. This is a feature I have been using for over 5 years and is available on worse feeling software from Razer, Logitech, and even SteelSeries. But don't get me wrong, there are plenty of gaming companies like Pulsar that don't have it either, but those are more into the specifically competitive gaming sphere. Although what would I use the 2 extra side buttons for? In general use, this would be to play and pause media or forward through it. Similar to when I'm editing, there is the play and pause, but also B to change into the blade tool without looking back to the keyboard or move away from the timeline. For games like Apex Legends, this is used for the tertiary abilities where I would have to press the H key, such as barricading doors or picking up placed items. Plus, the map button to press M without looking down at the keyboard. The other part that I find weird is that they use a button instead of a switch to move between receiver, Bluetooth, and off. It's unintuitive to tell which mode I'm in, and if you move between a home setup and a mobile setup, it can get annoying. Granted, these are my personal nitpicks, but that's what the channel is about, tech and its ability to improve both gaming and productivity. That aside, how does it actually feel to play in games? You've probably missed it in the settings section, but the M75 does support 2000Hz polling rate, which is at least an improvement compared to the 1000Hz most gaming mice have. But it isn't as noticeable compared to a jump to 4000Hz polling. However, in active use, it is pretty responsive, while the shape is okay, not horrible, but it's by far the worst experience I've had in terms of specifically gaming mice. I've had worse mice that aren't gaming mice. But it could also be that the M75 has the shape I would personally find the most uncomfortable. My main issue is with the grip of the mouse, which feels flat or slightly convex, making it feel a little too solid, that it digs into my fingers a little too much, almost as if I'm trying to lightly squeeze a brick. The rear does flare out enough that it doesn't take too much effort to tuck the M75 into my palm, where the palm rest nicely fills my palm. The hump is just behind the mouse sensor but falls past my first knuckles, allowing me to rest my palm all the way to that section, and isn't so high that I can still claw the mouse. Funnily enough, the long left and right mouse clicks are pressable in a fingertip grip, but just like the grip of the mouse, it feels stiff that it digs into my fingers. This is because the comfort grooves end just where my fingers would fall in fingertip grip. As for the side buttons, they're subtle, which means I was unlikely to press them accidentally, while still being able to find them easily. And the middle falls where my thumb would rest, giving me easy access to both the front and back buttons. However, if you did decide to blank them out, all that the replacement buttons in the box does is make the buttons flush with the mouse, which it's already close to. You can still press the buttons, but now it will have to be entirely intentional. The scroll wheel is stepped, and to my disappointment, there is no tilt controls. However, it is nice and light with smooth noticeable steps, while surprisingly, the middle click is the lightest I've used so far. The Corsair M75 isn't a bad mouse by any means. It's a mouse that to me is a "that's not bad" type of mouse, with gaming features like 2000Hz polling and 4 side buttons for productivity. It's a solid feeling mouse, but a little too solid feeling for my liking, as if it's stopping itself from digging too hard into my fingers. I would have appreciated comfort grooves in the grip of the mouse instead. And for crying out loud, despite the great UI experience of Corsair's IQ, it really should have had automatic profile switching years ago, to have as a quality of life improvement. Which is why my main catch-all mouse for gaming and productivity is in this video here. Make sure to subscribe for more content on tech and their ability for both productivity and gaming. I'm your host Naka. Have a nice one. I never thought I'd say a mouse feels too solid.